Hi, and welcome to Newswire LA. I'm your host, Chin Thomasangsi. Today we're going to take you to a school whose specialty is training young men and women in the art of being electricians. The school is set up with classrooms, labs, and even has instructors. But the hitch is that the school doesn't have enough funding to even open its doors. We're going to Jefferson Park today, and we're going to meet with the man behind the school. He's going to tell us in his own words why this school is so important and how it can benefit people in that area. He's also going to tell us how we can help remedy this situation. So without further ado, let's take the cameras to Jefferson Park and Newswire LA's Tricia Mitchell.
I'm here with Tio DeRusso at DeRusso Electric Institute. So tell me, who is Tio DeRusso?
Tio DeRusso is a person that was born and raised in Willowbrook, California, in between Watts and Compton. I attended St. Leo's Elementary School, went to Verbum. From there I went to Centennial, and I did not graduate from Centennial, but I was able to get a GED to get my complete my high school. And from that part, we moved to Eugene, Oregon. We stayed there for a few years, and then we came back to LA. And one of my neighbors, Mr. Mitchell, who was an electrician, who I had been talking to about teaching me to trade. Matter of fact, I even offered him my 1963 Ford Econoline van to give to him in return for him to give me some training on the weekends. But by him being out of the union, he was not able to do that. So I was able to pick up the trade by going to different companies and working for other companies.
Now you mentioned the union aspect.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, what was it like for an individual such as your neighbor?
Well, first of all, it was very difficult to become an electrician. Okay, that was a trade that not too many minorities were able to get into, and any minority that were able to get into the union had to be pretty good in that field. When you're in the union, you get all your medical, you make really good wages and things. And I promote the union. Matter of fact, we've had students that have been in this program that we refer to the union because we felt that they were really highly qualified. And I look at the union apprenticeship program as being the top of the line. Like USC, that's like going to USC compared to going to a junior college. This is like a junior college. We're non-union, but it's still an opportunity where you can get into the field.
Get you in the door.
Exactly. The union, they only allow so many apprentices each year. It may only be 900, but you might have 3,000 or 4,000 people that want to get into the trade. I feel that if I would have became a union, well, I was in a union for so many years, I think 2.5 years, and I decided that I wanted to be a contractor. So that's how I got my contractor's license. So I really think that if I would have stayed in the union, I would have never became a contractor. So by me being a non-union contractor, jobs, it was always hit and miss. I had to hustle much more to actually build my own business, which I felt in the long run was to my benefit.
So tell me, when was the turning point where you actually decided that electrical work is exactly what you wanted to do?
Well, by me not going to college, I was never really interested in going into college. I really wanted to work with my hands. I was married with 2 kids, and I needed a job. But what I really needed was a skill, a career. So, matter of fact, I was working at a company, and I seen an electrician walk down the hallway, and he started changing out light fixtures, and he didn't even need a ladder. So I was like, now that's what I want to do. So that was the first start for me, you know, knowing about the trade and wanting to get into the trade. And then my neighbor, you know, Mr. Mitchell, who was the union electrician. I mean, I really had a lot of respect for him, you know, after learning more about the trade.
Right. Okay.
So that was a big influence on my part, too.
When did you decide that, okay, it's time for me to start my own business?
Actually, it took me 5 years to go through the apprenticeship program, work as a journeyman, and I became a contractor after that, like 6 years total.
Within 6 years?
Within 6 years, I went from an apprentice to a contractor for the state of California. Well, yes, a lot of it was hands-on, and it was much easier for me to pick up the trade because I did a lot of hands-on, and that really helped out.
At what point did you decide from that you wanted to open this institute and teach others what it is that you learned?
Well, knowing what I had to go through to learn the trade, I felt that I had an opportunity to make it much easier for other people to get into the trades. Because when I was coming through, it was very difficult, especially for minorities. And things that you would have to go, things that you had to do and go through to become an electrician was pretty harsh. So one of my apprentices who had been with me for like 16 years went to trade tech. He got his AA degree, and he came back and said, hey, let's open up a school. And it was like, oh, okay, we could work this out. So we started the school. We just opened it up, and we started training on our own. And we found out that people really didn't respect the school because we were not accredited. So our next push was to become accredited, which we did accomplish June 2010.
And how long did it take you to get that accreditation?
It was a 9-month process, and LA Unified School District, who is our local educational agent, worked with us through that process to assure that we would get accredited for South Central area.
Tell me what a journeyman's card is.
The Journeyman's Card, which is issued through the State of California Division of Apprenticeship Standards, is a card that certifies you as an electrician, where you can actually go out and apply to a C10 contractor with your card. Also, it requires 720 hours curriculum with 8,000 hours on the job training, which makes our school here interesting, is that once a student comes in and registers with us, he automatically is registered with the Division of Apprenticeship Standards. He is issued an ID card, trainee ID card, where he can actually take that card and go to any project, whether it's electrical, and approach the C10 contractor where he can actually get a job as an apprentice. So the start is to get a trainee ID card, and then you get your 720 hours curriculum and your 8,000 hours on the job training. That qualifies you to take the test to become a journeyman wireman.
And because you are accredited, they can get that card right there.
Yes, yes. And we're the only one in South Central that can issue that card.
The only place in South Central that can issue that card.
Even Trade Tech is not allowed to issue that card.
Wow.
There is another school, Abram Freeman. I believe they just got their accreditation 90 days ago. So that would be another site where you could go to get that trainee ID card. There was a time when a contractor could just go out and just hire people and train them as to become electricians. And the state got involved, so you could no longer pick anyone off the street and train them. They have to go to a state accredited or approved school for the training process.
What could they fully expect when they first come in the door? A young man or woman ready to explore an experience here at DeRusso Electric Institute?
Well, the experience is, first of all, for them to make a commitment that this is something that they're really interested in and that they're willing to do whatever it's going to take to become a successful journeyman electrician. And there's a lot of opportunity for male and female in this industry. And one thing that a lot of people don't know, with this one certification, there's over 88 other jobs that you can apply for with this just one electrical certification. You might decide that you want to specialize in solar, fire alarm systems, data systems. It just goes on and on and
because
on.
Because electricity is everywhere.
Everywhere,
yes.
Everywhere. Everything is electrical.
Everything is
There
electrical.
is nothing that's...
Cannot be replaced with a robot.
Exactly. And any facility, any building, it requires electrical. So that's one job that's not going to be outsourced. Our benefit is that we specialize in maintenance.
Okay. And what does that mean exactly?
That means that if there's a building that has a problem, we can respond and take care of that problem compared to the union. Basically, the union concentrates on new construction.
Okay.
Once the project is done, they have to hire people to maintain these buildings, and that's where my expertise is. We do tenant improvement, underground services, and maintenance is really where we feel that
there's definitely a good feeder from your institute into those particular
exactly. And it's like I say, the union is strictly new construction, and we're strictly maintenance. So this opens up another door for the student to acquire their 8,000 hours of on-the-job training, which is very important that they have that. And if you're in the union, sometimes it can take years before you can accumulate that total number of hours that are required.
Now, have you kept in contact with any of your previous students and where they might be working right now?
A few of them, and matter of fact, there's a couple of them now that are working at Cedars-Sinai that are in the union that came through our program that we referred to the unions. Because in order for us to get our school accredited, the union had to come here and approve the school, which they did.
Very good. Now, would you ever consider, even though I know that this is where you started, would you ever consider opening up an even larger?
Yes, and our ultimate goal is to have a center in Watts, Willowbrook, Compton, and Inglewood, along with this center right here, because we feel that the minorities that are in that area really need the opportunity, and some of the best minds come out of that area.
This is your institute that you created. Are you an instructor? Or?
No, I'm not an instructor, but I do have a couple instructors that are ready to get involved once we can get some type of funding for the program, and they now work for other schools. Their interest is to come to South Central because they know that the training is needed in South Central, and that there are other schools that a lot of minorities attend that are for-profit, and the student really never gets the education, but they do sign the contract for a loan. So the people that's part of this team, we are strictly for nonprofit, and this is a nonprofit school.
Nonprofit school for
yes.
the community.
Exactly.
That
so
is surrounded, and you have instructors that are committed to that because it is a nonprofit.
Exactly.
And you can really get the work done and focus on what is the most important, and that is learning the skill.
Exactly. Exactly. Because the instructors, they would not even come here and teach if they thought it was a for-profit school. It has to be a nonprofit because they've seen what happens in other schools. We really don't have any place for funding.
Okay.
That's our biggest issue. We have a facility, we have accreditation, but what we don't have is funding for the student.
And what would it cost a young man or woman?
We base it on 30 students
Okay.
at $9,000 each for a 30-month program so that they can get through their whole 720-hour curriculum based on either a 6-hour or a 12-hour week.
So with the 30, you obviously keep a very small, tight classroom.
Yes.
As well.
Yes.
Very effective.
Yes, because the instructors are 15 to 1. For every 15 students, we have one instructor.
Okay. What specifically about the funding is it that you need in order to get some students in here and some instructors in here to get your program up and running again?
Well, with the initial funding, after 2 years of data, where we could track our students, we could now apply for the Pell Grant and the iTrain application for workforce. So the first 30 students would be what's needed to get the school started. After 24 months, then the school would actually be running itself because the students could then apply for loans. Exactly.
As if they were going to a university.
Exactly. Okay. Exactly. So we have to be in, well, on the iTrain application, it's required that you are up and running for 2 years minimum where you can track all your data.
Okay.
And then after that point, then your school would qualify for the I-Train.
So you could also accept international students as well.
Oh yes, we can accept anyone after that 24-month period. So this is like seed money to get us started.
So what we're looking for now is seed money.
Exactly, because once it's up and running, then we have that option where we can go back and have the student apply for the workforce I-Train. LA Unified School District, who's our local educational agent, can also help us recruit students. But there's a demand, so I don't think we'll have a problem recruiting because people are interested.
And that's for students who can obviously afford what it costs?
Majority of the students that are interested cannot afford.
Right.
So
in other words, we need funding.
Exactly,
Or you need funding.
exactly. We have to get some type of scholarship funding for the student, but we would like to set it up in a way that once that student completes the program and start working, we would want him to finance another student. So it's not like just a free ride. We're going to get scholarship money for you. You can come in here and learn. We want you to come back and give back and train also.
We'll be back with more from the DEI Electrical Institute after this station break.